It's interesting that people have been so focused on the computer problems with Obamacare because the amount of money involved is so tiny compared with the computer problems and the amount of waste that the Pentagon has spent trying to build new systems that have failed. One Air Force system alone cost more than $1 billion to build, and it was entirely scrapped 2 years ago as a total failure. This is a story about waste and lack of accountability. There has, until recently, never been any pressure on the Pentagon to clean up its accounting and to really show what it does with this vast amount of money that it receives every year. DLA stands for the Defense Logistics Agency, and it's basically the main storage repository for the entire military. It stores everything from individual screws for tanks to parachutes, anything that might be needed in any part of the military services. The DLA has 8 locations around the country. The one we visited, the Eastern Distribution Center in Pennsylvania, is by far the largest. Half of the inventory of the DLA should be disposed of according to its own head, and yet we found documents that showed that they are ordering still more stuff that not only that they don't need, but that they know they don't need. Each of the individual military services also has storage facilities, ammunition, weapons, rockets, things like that. And the Pentagon has directed that the Army store all of that material for all of the military services. Taxpayers are paying for this ammunition that dates back from World War II through the Vietnam War era up to the present. Much of it never used, completely useless, and it's becoming unstable, and a lot of it needs to be cleaned out before it blows up. For example, when we visited, they were destroying some C4 plastic explosives that dated from 1979. So they dug 14 holes in the grounds of the depot there, buried it in dirt, and then one by one blew them up. Considering the investment and the waste of taxpayer money for storing things that will, that are way out of date and will never be used is enormous. Americans, I think, would be surprised that we're not using the most advanced inventory technology. The Pentagon mandated that all of the Defense Department use a labeling system called IUID. It's basically the latest version of barcodes, but it's more modernized. And that would be a way of accurately tracking all of the supplies and giving greater visibility to the individual military services that would need them. And DLA simply has not implemented it, even though it's mandatory. There's never been pressure until recently from Congress. Congress finally is interested. The military has said it's committed to it. The last 3 secretaries of defense have said they are totally committed to it. The problem is that the way the Defense Department is set up, it's extremely, extremely difficult to achieve. It has no functioning accounting system now. It simply has thousands of disparate accounting systems spread throughout that were built haphazardly and can't talk to each other. They're basically having to start from scratch and build systems, and lacking experience in how to do that. Many of these systems turn out to be complete wastes and are thrown away after $1 billion or more is spent on them. The biggest share of American taxpayers' money, by far the largest chunk of the annual federal budget, is disappearing every year down a black hole. Neither the Secretary of Defense or Congress or the White House have any idea where that money goes, how it's spent, and how much of it may disappear through outright abuse or fraud.